What's up, I'm Alex from LearnBeachVolleyballFast.com. I know there's a lot of people that are wondering a lot of things about beach volleyball attacking arm swings, how to learn them, different types of them, how to hit harder, whatnot. And I've definitely been one of these people myself as well. In this video, we're gonna start moving sort of towards that and start to demystify some of this stuff. We're basically gonna have a look at two common beach volleyball arm swings and talk about the pros and cons of both of them. Okay, so just so that we're talking about the same thing, let's have a quick look at what I actually mean with these two arm swings. Basically, the first one, the one that I call high elbow, is a very common one where usually people describe it as this Nike symbol where you jump up and your elbow goes here, somewhere close to your ear and back here, and then from here you hit. The low elbow one, on the other hand, your arms come up when you jump, but you sort of draw back your arm at shoulder height and it ends up here, and then you hit from there instead. And basically the summary of this video is that they both work and they're both used at the highest level of beach volleyball today in 2021. You can find examples of pros using both of these techniques. And here's a spot where I would want to put some pros into this video, but I'm a little bit afraid for copyright issues. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put links in the description below to basically hits in videos by pros that use both of these techniques, so that you can, after watching this video, go and study these things on your own if you want. So that means that in this video I'm gonna use only my own footage, but you can go afterwards and check so that the pros do the same and sort of confirm what I'm saying. Okay, so before we jump into the pros and cons of both of these techniques, there's two more things I want to talk about, which is, firstly, there's more techniques than these two. And two different ones that I want to mention right now is, so we have the low elbow and we have the high elbow, and then I would almost want to call it a spaghetti noodle or spaghetti arm technique, which is basically a very high elbow where people go here and then so high elbow goes here and like that, and the spaghetti arm goes sort of like that. I'm not gonna talk about that technique in this video, but basically I think it's very similar to the high elbow. It's just slightly different, and basically what is true for the high elbow I think is pretty much true also for the spaghetti arm hit. Then there's also the roundhouse arm swing, which almost goes down here and up. So if we have high elbow, we have shoulder height elbow, low elbow, and then we have the roundhouse that goes even further down. That's also a technique that some people use to hit. I haven't personally seen anyone at the absolute highest level of beach volleyball use this technique. And the people at higher levels that I have seen use this technique, it doesn't look quite efficient for me. So I haven't myself studied this technique. I haven't tried to learn it. I haven't found a reason to try to learn this technique. It seems like for some people it's just natural to do it. But yeah, I thought I would mention that so that you know that of its existence as well. But so far I don't have any info on it and I haven't found a reason to learn it. The second thing I wanted to mention before we get started is that all of these techniques that I'm talking about today are core powered techniques. So whether the elbow is low or high, the power for the hit does come from the core muscles, from the stretching of the core, and then the contraction so that the arm gets speed from sort of below in the body. I do have a video series which already has 4 parts. It's gonna have at least 2 more, about a wrist snap technique, which is another type of hitting technique, which is actually arm powered. So you don't use the whole core for that technique. And these are different techniques, and I'm not talking about the wrist snap technique in this video. So I hope that brings some clarification. If that just made you confused or you want to learn more, then check out the wrist snap video series and keep an eye out for the upcoming parts of that video series where I'm actually gonna go deeper into what I just talked about. Okay, so now for some advantages and disadvantages. And the funny thing is that some of these pros and cons are going to be sort of like, I think this is true. And some of them are going to be like, this I'm pretty sure is true. And so I have to say that beach volleyball in general, it's a complex sport. There's a lot of nuances to things, and things are difficult to understand. So what I'm going to tell you in this video is what I found out so far on my journey. I've been studying these different techniques for a few years now, and this is my understanding today. Maybe I have to create another video follow-up for this, whatever, in the future if I realize something else. But basically here is what I think today. So number one, injury prevention. One of the most common arguments for a lower elbow rather than a higher one is that it should put less stress on your shoulder. And I do believe that this is probably true. You probably do have less chances of injuring your shoulder with a low elbow arm swing. However, I do have to say that I think you can do a low arm swing and a high arm swing in bad ways, which means that you're going to injure your shoulder pretty much no matter what you do. But if we play around with the idea that you have the best way to do the low and the best way to do the high one, then I do see players that have long, successful, sustainable careers with both of these without injuries. So I don't think that it's a career ender to have a high elbow, even though it might be better to have a lower one. Probably I would say that a bigger factor to your shoulder health is load management and prehab and rehab, and just not doing stupid things like hitting millions of balls in a row, and also finding the less stressful power generation techniques for your arm so that you don't put unnecessary stress on your shoulder. Second one is max potential for powerful hits. Here I do believe that the low elbow, you have a bigger potential for hitting very hard than you do have on a higher elbow. And that's simply because of the physical fact that if you have a lower elbow, you just have more space to accelerate for your hit than you do have from here. Now there's two very important but ifs regarding to that point. And the first one is that just as in the shoulder injury one, the biggest factor for hitting harder is not the high or low elbow. You can hit very hard with both techniques, and someone can definitely have a high elbow and hit way harder than someone that has a low elbow but doesn't know how to generate power in their hits. So I'm not saying that everyone that has a low elbow will hit harder than everyone that has a high elbow. I just say that the max speed potential, I believe, is higher. The second big but what if is that spiking speed isn't everything, and it's not the most important thing. There's a lot of factors in spiking: reach height, contact point height, strategy, seeing the court, whatnot, that actually has more to do with success in spiking. But speed is still something. And I believe that speed is especially important in when you hit from far off the net. So when there's a bad set and you cannot be on top of the net and hit downwards into the court, into angles where the defenders can't go. But when there's a bad situation and the ball is far off the net and you have to hit from here. Because what happens if I hit from here to there, there's a longer distance between me and the defender. So if I cannot put proper full power speed onto the ball, they will have way more time to react and just pick the ball up. But if you have the absolute max speed, top spin, super hits, then you can still sort of outpower people and defenders even from here back in the court when the situation is bad. Maybe you shank the pass and your partner has to set from far off and they set you here somewhere, and you can still send it into the court and just overpower the defenders. And the last pro for the low elbow in this video is going to be the potential for developing a lot of angle options. So what do I mean with this? What I mean is that most people can hit straight. Some people can hit over the shoulder. And some people can hit the wrist away hit. And basically most people can hit straight and over the shoulder, or they can hit straight and wrist away. So they sort of have this, like, I can hit either here or I can hit here. A few people can hit actually straight over the shoulder and wrist away. And most people that I've seen be able to do all of that, to have that huge range of options, have been people that have the lower arm swing. And why is that? Well, I'm gonna try to explain it quickly. From a low arm swing, your arm stuff is kind of up down here, and you go up there from here. And since you go from here to there, you can change the direction that you end up in easier than if you're over here. It's almost like you're going from here to here, so you already have forward momentum in your arm, so you have less chances to change the direction a lot. But when the momentum comes from down to up, you can go up that way or you can go up that way, and that basically helps with range of motion. So in the last few days I've been editing this video and basically been watching myself over and over again. And what happens when I watch myself talk about volleyball is that I think to myself, is this really true? Is this a good message? Is this something that I can be proud of for having been teaching to you guys? And one of the things I said in the video is that most people that can hit both wrist away and over the shoulder are people with a lower elbow type of arm swing. And at the same time, if you go and look at maybe the best team in the world right now, Anders Moll and Christian Sorum, they just won the Olympics. They both have a highish type of elbow in their arm swings, and they can both hit both ways. So is what I said really true? Well, here's what I meant. When I watch average level players, there I see that most people that are able to hit both ways are people with a lower type of elbow in their arm swings. And here's the thing, I think. You can have a higher type of elbow arm swing and go all the way here, back here to this natural stop. And this position here is actually the same position as where you end up with the lower type of elbow arm swing. And from here you can bounce up and change the directions. But I think what happens with most sort of intermediate level players is that when they have a higher elbow arm swing, they end up here somewhere, and then they force the arm to go forward. And that's when you get this problematic forward momentum that's difficult to change the directions of. So I hope that brought some clarification and that this add-on part here made the video better. Now let's continue with what we were actually watching. Another way to accomplish this huge range of motion is the wrist snap technique, where you don't use the body for power, but only the arm. Because basically when you do the wrist snap technique, you can very easily manipulate the angle of your hand. Okay, so what about the opposite? What are the benefits with the high elbow compared to the low one? The big one is that the high elbow, for most people, is way easier to learn. That's it. Because learning the low elbow, if it's not natural for you, might take a lot of work, and not everyone are willing to put that work in. And the thing with beach volleyball is that your job is to put the ball into the sand or into a player so that they make a mistake, block touch or whatever it might be. And the tools you have for making that happen is technique plus strategy. So technique is what you physically do with your body, but then you also have to use a strategy that fits with this technique. And changing the technique might change the strategies that you can use, but together you can find combinations where you can play beach volleyball at the highest level, also with the high elbow. So depending a little bit on your personality and your wishes and wants and whatnot, it might be easier, more fun for you to just learn the technique that might be faster to learn, and then just learn the strategy needed to play with that technique. The second advantage to the high elbow technique, or maybe I should call it a disadvantage for the low elbow technique, is very related to the previous one, but it's basically that it has a bigger chance for false competence. What I mean with that is that a lot of people, when they first learn a lower elbow, what will happen is that this movement and everything will take so much time that they will jump, reach the top of the jump, fall from the top of the jump, and then be able to hit. So they're basically hitting on the way down, which then is not so productive anymore, because I would say that that is a big factor on hitting success, to not hit on the way down, rather hit at the top, or even better, a little bit before the top. So it might not help you too much if you can do a low elbow hit, but it takes so much time in the air that you're already on the way down before you can hit. I would much rather have a quicker high elbow hit that is maybe not as powerful than having a huge jump, mega powerful low elbow hit, but you're on the way down. Okay, I hope this has been insightful. Maybe you had some aha moments or some new thoughts or whatnot. So in case you would be interested in learning more about this or learning any of these techniques, I'll put another section in the description below with some resources to basically stuff you can watch if that's the case. So there's going to be more free videos, already existing ones, and upcoming videos in the future, as well as in-depth courses and coaching. And since you watched this video so far, I'm pretty sure that you will be interested in the upcoming videos about this topic as well. And if that's the case, there's a few things that you should do. You should definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. You should also click the like button, because that just helps with the YouTube algorithms and whatnot. Also, you should share this to your other volley nerd friends, because the more you do this, the faster the channel grows, and that just means that it becomes easier for me to create these videos for you guys. Also, another thing you should do is you should comment in the comment section below, and especially if there's any disagreements or questions or whatnot about this video. Because as I said, these things that I've been talking about here are some complex things that I have put a lot of thought behind, but I would be naive if I said that I know everything about what I've talked about. These are very complex things. Any beach volleyball coach that says that they know everything about this sport, they're basically lying to you. So I'm just being honest with you. I don't know everything about this sport, even if I know a lot. And these discussions that happen in the comment section below actually teaches me and makes me even better as a coach, and can also teach you a lot. So go down and read in the comment section. Maybe some people have disagreed with something I've said. Maybe you can read my answers to that, whatnot, and we can just have discussions there. And maybe in a few years, once I've gotten even more experience in using these techniques in games, whatnot, maybe I will have to create an update video for this video. Who knows? And in case I end up making a video like that someday, well, the link will also be in the description below, or maybe even around here somewhere if you're lucky. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. See you again soon.